Excuse me. Excuse me. Do you know why we pulled you over today? Exactly. It's because you're not subscribed. So you better fix that right now. Or we're gonna have to take you in. Boom. Bada bing boom. Boom pow. It's crazy. Obviously, our friend of the show. No, I don't even know. Minchi Kuo is back in the news. And Minchi Kuo, when Minchi Kuo is back in the news, you know something is up. Because he doesn't just spit stuff, right? He spits facts. Absolute facts. Even though they're not facts yet, but like they're going to become facts. I feel like it's now to a certain extent that if Apple has a plan and Kuo says it's going to be something else, Apple probably adjusts their plans. That's how crazy like the impact of Kuo's Twitter account is. Or at least it seems that way. I mean, literally, like, some of the things that he is, like, seriously, right? Some of the things that he is predicting is blowing my mind. It's absolutely insane. But, anyways, like, let's just get into it. Let's just give Kuo the stage via our dear friend, Sharon. Keep it bumping.
LG working to bring OLED displays to future iPad and MacBook models. LG is working to supply Apple with OLED display panels for 2 iPad models before providing larger panels for the company's first OLED MacBook around 2025, the ELEG reports. LG Display is reportedly aiming to supply Apple with General 8.5 OLED panels for Apple's first OLED MacBook. The device is said to be scheduled to launch around 2025. LG has been evaluating the deposition process to manufacture General 8.5 OLED panels at its Payu facility since December 2021, the ELEG claims. The evaluation procedure will purportedly take up to a year to complete.
Holy shit. So, I mean, to just check what this means. This means that Apple is going to put their entire lineup into, or at least in their entire like portable lineup into OLED. Because like iPhone is already OLED, right? So I mean, I would say that like that's fine. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to say that. Yeah, I don't know. So obviously you have like the people that are afraid of OLED because of like all the shit that's going on with OLED most of the time. Look at like the Pixel phones and all that shit. Again, like I said before, I feel like Apple is on the ball. They are never going to allow any panel manufacturer to screw up their iPhone lineup, also not their MacBook lineup or iPad lineup. Like this is like to the bone. Everything has been researched, so I wouldn't be too scared of that. But yeah, it's like, I'm not sure if it makes a lot of sense to just move every single computer to OLED that they have, every single portable computer to OLED. But we will have to see. I mean, yeah, I'm quite happy with miniLED, so maybe that's it. I don't really care about it too much about OLED. It's not something that I'm waiting for or something. It's like cool if it happens, especially if it's the quality that we have in the iPhone, right? With like 1,000 nits, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 1,000 nits, something like that. Peak brightness. Anyways, let's go.
The evaluation procedure will purportedly take up to a year to complete. Previous reports have indicated that LG's factory in Payu, South Korea, is instrumental in Apple's plans to offer iPads with OLED displays, as well as to increase its supply of OLED displays for future iPhone models. The ELEG also explained that LG is planning to use its General 6 OLED production lines for 11-inch and 12.9-inch iPad models, which will debut at some time earlier than the first OLED MacBook. Since the launch of the OLED MacBooks around 2025 will come after Apple's first 2 OLED iPads, LG is planning to use larger substrates such as General 8.5 since more panels can be cut out per substrate in less time.
Okay. I'm just, yeah. Like, obviously, like, they have, like, an insane amount of, like, technology for this shit. I have no idea, like, my knowledge on OLED, like, I don't really know. Yeah, I agree, Access, like, I don't really know. I don't know. Substrate. It's like I have no idea. Maybe they can make more of it at the same time. Just something that is more efficiency in terms of like producing, like the SKUs or something. I have no idea. It's the crazy part. I mean, we can Google it if we want to. Let's go. Bullshit. Okay. Like a LED, OLED is a solid-state semiconductor device that is 100 to 500 nanometers thick, or about 500 times smaller than a human hair. Okay. OLEDs can have either 2 layers or 3 layers of organic material. Fuck off. Anyways. In the latter design, the third layer helps transport electrons from the cathode to the emissive layer. In this article, we will be focusing on the 2-layer design. Okay, cool. So substrate, clear plastic, glass, foil. The substrate supports the OLED. Okay. I still have no idea what that means, but I would still say that it doesn't really explain. Well, anyways, apparently it's like either the clear plastic or the glass or the foil. This is something that is a next generation of that. So generation 6 is probably not the same material or same quality material as Gen 8.5, I would say, because like if you go up, it is supposed to get better. Anyways, I have no idea, dude. Like, don't ask me these questions, okay? I also, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, Apple is going to look into it. Apple is going to do the, I don't know, the vetting, the checking, the research and development, the fucking testing, and it's going to be good, okay? I can guarantee you that. It's going to be good. Don't worry about it. True? Yeah, true. Let's go.
Yesterday, renowned Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo tweeted that the launch of Apple's first MacBook with an OLED display is dependent on the launch of 11-inch and 12.9-inch OLED iPad models in 2024, which correlates with today's report from the ELEC. LG is believed to be planning to begin mass production of LPO OLED panels for iPads between 2023 and 2024, making the rumored 2025 timeframe for the launch of the first OLED MacBook plausible.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, right? I'm I'm not completely sure if this is something that, like, is it too important? I don't think so. I'm happy with miniLED. Let's just look at 9to5Mac's take about this, because I feel like they have been talking about this as well. So let's see, or at least something similar. You guys have been complaining last stream that I only give Mac rumors the stage. I clearly don't. Okay, I clearly don't. I am quite fair in this regard. Anyways, let's see the difference here. I see Samsung. Okay, cool, interesting. Okay, let's go.
LG working on competing with Samsung for OLED MacBook orders around 2025. LG's display division is working on being ready to compete for OLED MacBook orders sometime around 2025, says a new supply chain report today. It follows an earlier report that the company is also prepping for OLED iPad displays, which are expected to launch around a year earlier. There have been numerous reports of Apple working on introducing OLED MacBooks at some point, but there's as of yet no clarity on when they might launch. Background. Where previously summarized the 4 types of display tech Apple is either using or expected to use. IPS LCD with conventional backlighting. This is still used in older Macs and cheaper iPhones. IPS LCD with miniLED backlighting. Apple switched to this for iPad Pro models, and is now using it in the new MacBook Pro. It allows for darker blacks and brighter whites, and makes a surprising difference.
Yeah, and I would say that it also just it is the best world, the 2 best worlds put together, right? I would say that like it's bright. It is very dark black. It's like if you put them side by side with OLED, you would see it. But otherwise, it is decently dark black, and it's also more or usually more color accurate than the most OLED displays. That QD OLED looks cool though from Samsung. Yeah, I mean, like obviously you saw the whole Alienware display that was released, like a lot of hype around that, and I understand that, right? But I feel like the problem I think OLED has is that these products, especially if like maybe that QD OLED is better, right? I've never used it. But OLED in general has a problem that it's just, yeah, how do you say that? There's a problem with OLED in color accuracy, in brightness, in all these things that obviously you can solve them, but it's going to be very expensive. And if I'm going to have to pay for that in the next iPad, I'd rather just stay with the mini LED, right? Because like it's apparently cheaper. It works kind of the same way. I mean, the only problem that people have with a mini LED is the is the blooming. But I would rather just wait until micro LED is a thing and then just move over to that, because OLED is just, it has, in my opinion, it has a lot of problems. But maybe it's just me.
Apple first adopted this in the Apple Watch before bringing it to the iPhone. Starting with the iPhone X, Apple has not yet used this in either iPads or MacBooks, but is expected to do so sometime in the 2023 to 2026 timeframe. miniLED. Despite the similarity in name to miniLED, this is a completely different technology. It's effectively a much more sophisticated version of OLED. It's brighter, more power efficient, and doesn't suffer from burn-in. Apple's interest in microLED dates back to at least 2014, and while there have been some signs of progress, this tech is still at a very early stage of development. As with OLED, it's likely to come first to the Apple Watch, then iPhone, iPad and Macs, in that order.
Yeah, I would say something like that as well. But it does, like, for me, I think we can skip OLED for most devices. Mainly because also, like, something that I forgot is obviously the efficiency. Like, look at the power that it draws, like a very big OLED screen, right? I'm talking about, let's say, a 16-inch OLED screen. It's going to suck a lot of energy. Now, again, I'm not sure about this QD OLED. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's more efficient. I'm not sure. But in general, what I know is that OLED is just, it sucks your battery dry, and I'm not ready to pay extra for something like that, and to also pay extra for my energy bill, because like, oh, blooming. Who cares?
Apple has reportedly been testing OLED screens for MacBooks since way back in 2016. The company was originally said to be targeting 2025 for the first OLED MacBook, though doubts about this timeline have since been expressed. OLED MacBook orders. As was the case with the first OLED iPhones, Samsung is likely best placed to win early OLED MacBook orders as it has a strong technological lead in displays. The company already makes OLED laptop screens in both 14 and 16-inch sizes. However, FIRSTCLICKS reports that LG is hoping to win some of Apple's business. LG Display has been evaluating the deposition process for General 8.5 2200x 2500mm OLED panels since December last year, FIRSTCLICKS has learned.
Oh, okay, so it's apparently the thickness or something like that? Or like how big it is? Again, fuck it.
LG Display is aiming to supply General 8.5 OLED panels, which will be used for IT applications, to Apple for their first OLED MacBook, which is expected to launch around 2025. The South Korean display panel maker is planning to use its General 6 OLED lines for the two OLED sporting iPads, 12.9-inch and 11-inch, that are expected to debut earlier than the OLED MacBook. As OLED panels that will be used on MacBooks and iPads launching later than the first two OLED tablets will be larger, It is more economically advantageous for LG Display to use larger substrates such as General 8.5 as more of the panels can be cut out than per substrate while taking less time.
There you go. So it is about efficiency. Yeah, I would say that obviously this is something that is stuff that we don't hear a lot, like substrate and stuff like that. But it makes sense, right? Obviously, if we're talking about a product that needs like bigger panels or something like that, if you can cut out more of the panel, then obviously like a bigger screen device like an MacBook Pro should get Gen 8.5, and currently Gen 6 is not as efficient, so you can usually cut out less, and then you would end up with a smaller inch screen usually. So that can go to the iPad. So that makes sense. I would say that obviously like this report makes sense. It's not the report that I am kind of like doubting. I feel like for me it doesn't really make sense. It's probably going to be more expensive. It's going to be less efficient. It might even be less color accurate. And then on top of that, it's just like, are we going to do all this just because we do not like the blooming? Can't we just maybe just look into, I don't know, the blooming? Or just wait for micro LED. I mean, I know it's in a very early stage of development, but how long have we been using like IPS LCD? Like, we've been using that for a really long time. Like, did we really care that much? I feel like we didn't. And obviously miniLED was a great add-on, which is still apparently like IPS LCD, but then with more backlighting or individual backlighting. I'm not sure. It doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. I like fine, but also if I can choose, I wouldn't do it. It's just gonna be extra money. Anyways,